It was a warm spring afternoon in Chicago, and the streets buzzed with life. Barack Obama, now a private citizen, had recently returned to his hometown after years in Washington, D.C. He was enjoying the quieter pace of life, spending time with Michelle and engaging in local community initiatives. However, even in retirement, his presence carried a certain gravity. On this particular day, a peaceful protest had erupted into chaos downtown. What had started as a march for education reform turned tense when conflicting groups arrived at the scene. Arguments turned into shouting matches, and the once unified crowd split into factions. News cameras hovered over the scene, broadcasting the escalating tension to homes across the nation. Obama, on his way to a community center, noticed the commotion while driving past. His car slowed, and he turned to his driver. "Pull over," he said, his tone resolute. "Sir, are you sure?" his security detail asked. Obama nodded. "Yes, this is exactly where I need to be." As he stepped out of the car, a ripple of recognition swept through the crowd. Protesters, police officers, and bystanders alike froze momentarily as they realized who was approaching. The cameras zoomed in, capturing the former president walking toward the heart of the conflict with a calm but determined demeanor. He raised his hands, signaling for silence. The sheer authority of his presence seemed to diffuse the immediate tension. Slowly the shouting subsided, replaced by murmurs of curiosity and awe. Standing in the middle of the crowd, Obama began to speak. "I understand why you're here," he said, his voice steady yet passionate. "You're fighting for something important. Education is not just a policy issue. It's the lifeblood of our communities, our children, and our future. But anger and division won't solve this. Let's not lose sight of what brought us here today." His words carried a weight that only someone of his stature could command. People in the crowd began to lower their signs, their faces softening as they listened. Obama gestured toward one of the protest leaders, a young woman clutching a megaphone. "What's your name?" he asked. "Maria," she replied, her voice trembling. "Maria, can you tell us what inspired this march?" Obama asked. Maria hesitated before speaking. "My younger brother dropped out of school because his teachers weren't paid enough to stay. He's brilliant, but he's working 2 jobs just to survive. I want him, and kids like him, to have a chance." Obama nodded. "That's powerful, Maria, and you're right to fight for him. But let's make sure this fight builds bridges, not walls. Can I count on you to help me bring everyone together?" Maria's eyes widened, but she nodded. "Yes, sir." Obama then turned to the opposing group, a smaller faction skeptical of the protest goals. "And you," he said, addressing an older man who had been shouting earlier. "What's your perspective?" The man shifted uncomfortably but answered. "I'm a teacher. I've been in the system for 30 years. Protests like this, they make us feel like we're failing. We're trying, but the system is broken." Obama stepped closer, placing a hand on the man's shoulder. "And you're right to feel that way. You've given decades to this work, and you deserve better support. But this is our chance to demand more, together." The man's expression softened. "Maybe you're right." For the next hour, Obama facilitated an impromptu dialogue between the two sides. He encouraged people to share their stories and find common ground. His ability to listen and empathize turned what could have been a volatile situation into a constructive conversation. As the sun began to set, the crowd, now united, cheered as Obama spoke once more. "This is just the beginning," he said. "We've shown today that dialogue can triumph over division. Let's take this energy and channel it into real change." The footage of Obama's intervention went viral, inspiring millions around the world. Social media buzzed with hashtags like Number Leadership in Action and Number Unite for Education. More importantly, the event sparked renewed discussions about education reform, with local leaders committing to actionable steps. In the weeks that followed, Obama continued to work with Maria and others from the protest, helping to organize town halls and meetings with policymakers. His involvement lent the movement credibility and momentum, turning a moment of conflict into a lasting legacy of hope and collaboration. Years later, Maria's brother graduated from college with honors, becoming a teacher himself. At his graduation, Maria spotted Obama in the crowd, a quiet smile on his face. She approached him, tears in her eyes. "You changed everything that day," she said. Obama shook his head. "You did. I just reminded you of your power.